Up next, we have an intuitive and spiritual life counselor with over 30 years of experience. She is also an expert in relationships and career advancement. I'd like to welcome Holly Brooks to the show. How you doing, Holly?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us today. Um, Going over your bio and looking into some things, I thought
Should
it
I
was I thought
should
it
I
was
hit this continue to get this white thing out of here? Wait a second. Yeah. Okay.
you good?
Yeah,
Uh,
it was in the middle of the screen. I couldn't see you, but since you're
Okay.
editing, it's okay.
Okay. So I was looking over your bio earlier today, and I happened to notice that you have a psychology background. I find that interesting. I have a psychology background as well. Um,
hmm
can you maybe touch on a little bit of that? And um, what are your thoughts on psychology in general?
Well, first of all, I'm fascinated by the human mind. It's capable of so much, right? They say we use 10% of our brain. Studies show that intuitives use 12 to 20% of their brain. So I'm deep. But I studied human services and psychology, and my degree is in education. So all of that really helped. I was in this program where instead of going to classes my last year, I did field work. So I worked in a halfway house with schizophrenics. I ran a radio show, and I trained kids for the Special Olympics because I was a gymnast as well as a dancer. And what else did, oh, I way back when Project Head Start was for, kids that didn't have a lot of money. And I
Yeah.
made up a program that the teachers could teach the kids when they were getting rammy so that they would get up and dance, do things that I showed the teachers, and it would get their yayas out and then they'd be ready to learn. It was fun. And then I wrote a thesis instead of a final. I wrote a thesis on Dr. Seuss.
Oh, that's interesting. He's kind of been in the news lately. Some of his
Really?
work.
Why? What did I hear?
Oh,
What
just
did you hear?
that some of it, I guess some of his books they wanted to try to ban or get taken out of schools, cancel culture, all that kind
Ah,
of
it's ridiculous.
that kind of thing.
My 4-year-old granddaughter wanted to play doctor. She said she had to operate on me and tape my throat out. And I said to her, "Well, what's your name?" And she said, "Dr. Seuss."
That's great.
I thought
That,
that was pretty funny. It helps because I love neuroscience. I
yeah.
like knowing which part of the brain controls what. Like your hippocampus is your memory, and
Mm.
then where your fears and a lot of emotions. And then I love Albert Einstein and quantum mechanics.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about that. I do have some things I'd like to get your thoughts on when it comes to
Okay.
quantum mechanics and maybe just the quantum fields in general. Um,
Yes.
so this psychology background, so my experience with psychology is this. It's definitely like learning and studying it. I think it's helped me like with the world, but I don't know, maybe it's just a personal thing, and it's not a knock against psychology because I think it's a fascinating science, but I just always felt like there was something, an element of it missing. And maybe certain psychologists, maybe like somebody that's, maybe to mention somebody that somebody may know is like Carl Jung, for
I was just
instance.
thinking that, but
Yeah,
then I'm
somebody
intuitive.
like that is, I think I was a little more relatable to. I don't know if it's just because I felt like, the more I learned about it, like I said, I felt like it was missing something. And I feel like sometimes there's like a spiritual aspect that's not integrated
Unaddressed. Yeah.
integrated with the psychology. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Well, yes, I'm huge. I'm on self-healing. So the mind-body connection is so powerful that they've cured cancer and all kinds of diseases. So that's spiritual. You have to have an open mind to even take that stuff in and realize that we have energy centers and things. I just feel like they should have included those things in with psychology. I'm going to be working with a foundation, not for a nonprofit foundation called Pure Esperanza in Chicago. And I feel that we should, yeah, we get the 3 R's, and yes, we get a psychology course, but who teaches us how to handle difficult emotions? And who teaches us what to do when someone dies? What do we do with grief? And there's so much that should be included in regular school. I don't know if I'm diverting too much, but this is my thing I want to do with her. So I feel from K through 12, they should have a pre-K through 12 because they're very sharp these days. I feel like they should have at least 1 hour or 2 half hours, depending on their age, um, about those, what I call life skills, earth tools, what to do. What does a 7-year-old do with grief? They just sit around and see a lot of adults looking glum and crying, and people are wearing black, and that's not healthy. And that is something psychology lacks at the level of college studying psychology. But in the younger grades, I feel like we should be better equipped. If kids graduated high school having this all the way from pre-K, the world would be a much better place. I just feel like it would, kids wouldn't turn as much to drugs, maybe. They'd have more spirituality in them, know what to do when they fear something, or if somebody rejects them, just basic life skills. So
Yeah,
we're going to try and get that going.
that's awesome. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think there's a lot of different basic life skills. I mean, I think that people are missing out on. I'm going to get back to one of the points that you were just mentioned, but just for example, even like how to manage money and credit and to understand the banking system, I think would be a valuable tool that people could know and learn at a young age. But I'm not so sure that obviously the system's not designed that way. Um, you talked about, grief as, possibly being a psychology problem, but it's possibly even more just a societal problem, right? I think we
Yeah,
kind of go about it wrong. I mean, don't you think? I mean,
they're kind of together. I mean,
yeah,
we all operate with psychology,
right,
how our mind works. Grief, I mean, first of all, let's just face it, people are scared to death to die. Personally, I
that
am not.
that's
I
not the way
just,
to live your life, right?
right. And what happens when we die, which I definitely have a definite belief system about that, but teaching those little things, and the banking is a great idea. That should start, I think, when they're like 14, even younger if they're getting allowances,
Yeah,
to know what to do with it and what money does, and that you don't need a ton of it to be happy inside. It's all sort of one big ball of yarn.
right. Yeah, I think the grief thing, getting back on that, I think that for one, people I think view it wrong. And a lot oftentimes people, and I've said this on my show before, I know my listeners have heard me say it, but like oftentimes I think people are so sad for the person that passed, when I think in all honesty, you can be sad, and you should be sad that you've lost that person in the physical world right now, and you're no longer going to have any experience with them. But you should embrace it and celebrate it, I think, because I think where they're going is an amazing place. And I think there's a famous quote, and I can't remember who said it, but I was reading somewhere that they were saying that you can't start living life until you overcome your fear of death. And I think,
That I'm down with that 100%.
yeah, and that really rings true for me, because I know at one time, prior to starting this podcast and stuff, I was probably like a lot of people, and just I was kind of, I had some anxiety towards death, and mortality, and now
Valid.
and now it's not even close to that. I'd
You
welcome it, not that I want to die today, but you know what I'm saying. Like
not now.
I got stuff to do still, but it's going to be a great transition, I think.
I think so too. And I like to try when people say to me, "Oh, I'm so scared to die." And I talk to them about it. And some of them open their spirituality and learn, and some are just that way. I have a very spiritual friend. She's an author, and she's scared to death to die. I think my only thing that would bother me is my daughter, who I raised alone, depends on me a lot for a lot when their kids drive her nuts and stuff. And I won't be here for that. But I speak to my mother all the time. She comes, I have this fan over my bed and it has lights. So she passed like 10 years ago, but I would say 8 or 9 years ago, the bulbs were flickering and I thought it was her. And we changed the bulbs and it was still her. And here till yesterday, still her. She comes in. Sometimes I'm not in the mood. I'm like, okay, hi, I love you. Go back. I'm not in the mood. But I communicate with her. Whereas my brother says, well, why doesn't she come visit me? And I said, because you don't believe in that. And that's true.
Mm,
You
yeah,
need to be open.
absolutely. You need to be able to see the signs too, if there are some, I think.
There are signs, yeah. Like,
But
did you a whoosh of cold through you? Doors creaking, steps. Sometimes you'll see a person
mhm.
on your bed or at the end of your bed. We were knocking out a bathroom in this very old house I was living in. And I went in there when it was being torn apart. And I was like, what smells so pretty and sweet? And they told me that the lady that had lived in the house, that had passed in the house, had her flower garden right underneath where we were recreating the bathroom. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I do want to say that I don't want to make light of grief, because there's probably,
Oh,
there's
no.
different levels of it, right? It's if somebody's lost a child or lost a parent, it can be it can be tough. I'm not trying to make light of anything.
Oh,
Um
no, no, no. Everybody grieves in their own way. And one thing I tell everybody I work with, don't ever say, I know how you feel, because you don't. You
right.
have no idea. So, yes, grief is horrible. And some people get broken by it, and some people grow from it. But it's very tough. And however you decide to grieve, whoever you are, whoever you've lost, that's cool. That's fine. It's valid.
How important do you think it is for the person to maybe accept it as a challenge, or accept it as part of their experience and why they're here, when they say they lose someone close to them?
Because I'm an intuitive and because of my beliefs, I think it's very important not to see it as a challenge, but to see it as a transformational experience, growth. Once you're done with the heavy, heavy, heavy duty, smack me in the face and knock me over grief, then try to think about it and trust the process. Because the only way anybody learns is when things are hard and tough and painful. And we have two choices, suck your thumb, go in the corner, stand up and face it. When we face things, then we learn that this dimension on this earth is a classroom. You don't learn a lot at a good day at the beach,
That's right. I
but
can agree with that. So you're an intuitive counselor. How is
Mhm.
that different from, say, somebody who's going to go see a psychic medium to get over maybe some grief counseling or something like that?
Um, a psychic, well, I have a best friend. He's like family. He's probably one of the best evidential mediums in the country. So if you're going to talk to a medium because you wish to speak to that person, they channel that person, make sure to check them out from A to Z. I mean, there are so many fakes, it's ridiculous. As far as being an intuitive counselor, a spiritual counselor, I use both. I use my intuition, my psychic ability, but I also use my spirituality to help teach while we're doing the discovery. It's like both. You're getting kind of like therapy and you're getting a look into things. The difference between just a psychic reading and an intuitive reading, just for, you know, giggles, the intuitive reading is more like talk therapy, but of course, I see things and details. A psychic reading is, I see you meeting a tall, dark, handsome stranger next week in a restaurant. It's that kind of thing. So for both, check the person out, read their testimonials, see if they belong to America's Best Psychics or the Global Psychics and Healers. There are places you can go because, well, first of all, hotlines. I'm sorry, hotlines don't kill me. Don't call them. They are paid to keep you on the phone. That's it. So that's not really good. But if you I like doing my thing. I ask my clients to write down 3 questions that they'd really like to know about. And then I go, okay, where do you want to start? And we use those as jumping off points. And then lots of psychic detail. But by the end, we've gotten to everything that they wanted to know about. So I like that. That's intuitive.
That's interesting. Have you ever done any like tarot readings or anything for people?
I used to throw cards, but it really, just like the pendulum or runes or whatever, it they're tools or a
Right.
crystal
Uh,
ball. It's up to the
yeah.
interpretation of the person reading the cards or looking at the runes or the tea leaves at the bottom of the cup. I just don't use anything. I just get words and pictures right through my head. And the more out in left field they are, and I trust it and say it, the more correct they are, which is weird, but that's how it works.
Personal question. Are you in
Mhm.
touch with your spirit guides? I mean, are you in contact with them? Like kind of like, how some psychic mediums will say that, they communicate with their spirit guides or something like
It,
that.
that's a funny question because I all my friends are like of this ilk. And they're always talking about the Akashic records and my angels, and oh, here comes Metatron, and this one and that one, and my spirit guides. And I'm like, guys, I don't think I have any spirit guides, and I don't think I have any angels. But I was doing a healing session. I have a friend who does high frequency vibrational healing,
Oh,
distance.
that's cool.
Oh, she's amazing. And she said some things, and then for some reason, I'm hearing Isaiah and Raziel. And she goes, those are your guides, those are your angels. I go, well, hi, nice to meet you. I never knew who you were before, and that was recent. That was like a month ago. So I just use my own thing.
That's cool. That's cool. Um, what started you on this path? What kind of got you interested in this path you're on?
When I was I was on a plane with my mom going to Miami, and she went to get up, and I said, sit down, whatever a 5-year-old says, sit down, mom. Why? Because we're going to hit a lot of bumps. Bing! Fasten your seatbelts. It happened like 4 times where she kept getting up, and then finally he left it on the rest of the flight. That was my first, but I don't think I knew what I was doing. Then when I got to college and started studying psych, for some reason, people I don't even know are drawn to me. I've been told it's because I'm a clear channel, which means I get things fast and quick and people are drawn to it. So in college, I was the go-to if you had a problem. I'd make them a cup of ginseng tea, which was all the rage then, and we'd talk. Then when I got out, I raised my daughter alone. So I had a dance business for kids. I had my own company. And at night, to make extra money, I used to work the hotlines. And I remember the first one I applied to, I heard the girl go, "Psst, I think we have a real one." And I was like, oh no. But I did that for like 2 or 3 years because you can make money if you're good. And then I went, wait a minute, why am I giving them part of what I'm doing? So then I started Centerpoint, and then Intuitive Solutions Rocks rebranded into Intuitive Solutions HK last October. So I don't know. That's how it all started. I could go to the grocery store pre-pandemic and people will tell me their life story. I do not know them, but there must be some sort of collective consciousness, which I believe, and they're drawn and they feel safe to
Yeah,
talk to me.
I get it. That are you empathic?
Totally. Yes, but I have to help other empaths. When I pick up what people are feeling out through the bottom of my feet, I can't carry it around. It'll drive you nuts. But yes, I am. And so is my oldest granddaughter, which is interesting. She's
Yeah.
going to be 10. And
Yeah.
she's highly sensitive.
Empaths have a way of drawing people like that to them too.
Oh, is that true? I didn't
It's
I
just
didn't know,
the way
but
it
I'll take
seems
your
from
word.
what I understand. I don't know, but that's interesting that people come and share their life story with you and they just feel like they can open up to you. Well, it's probably a benefit then for the business you're in as far as having clients open up and that kind of thing. What type of things do you do and help people with? I know you had mentioned grief, but like what are some other things that you work on people with?
I would say that 98% of my clients are women. So usually it's about relationships. LGBTQ, I don't care what it is, marry a tree stump, it doesn't bother me. But women have a tendency to choose the same kind of person, partner, over and over again, and then wonder, why didn't that work? And I've done it myself in my life, lots of research. But I just feel like mostly, if it isn't my relationship is bad, it's when is he going to ask me to marry him? Am I going to be alone forever? Is he cheating? There's all of that. So I don't deliver bad news. I don't predict somebody's transition or illnesses or, yeah, he's dumping you now. I just say it sort of like this. Well, let's just say he may not be the man you're going to spend the rest of your life with. So I'm very respectful and no judgment, and obviously totally confidential. But that I have worked with the police. That was cool. I actually did solve a case.
What
So
happened there?
this girl was missing for a long time. So now her posters are up in convenience stores and it says welcoming calls from psychics. And my girlfriend said, you. And I said, oh, I can't do that. And she said, it's your responsibility. So I called. They wanted to know where she was. And I said, well, first of all, stop dragging the rivers and stop walking through the woods. She's not there. In fact, she's right under your nose. She's in a wooded lot, weeds and grass, no trees, lot, 2 lots down from the police station, right there. And there's a bridge, and the bridge is painted that industrial green, and blah, blah, blah. They found her there. So they were searching everywhere, and she was right there. It was sad too.
Wow. That is sad. Can
I
you
just
talk?
like to help. What?
No, you just, yeah, well, that's important. I think that especially in the work you're doing, I think it, you know, what motivates you? I mean, obviously you like to help people, but what is it that inspires you or drives you to keep pushing and to keep helping people? I mean, is it just, does it feel like a calling to you, or is it something else?
It's a few things. It's definitely why I'm here, to teach, be like an earth teacher and help people. And I love when somebody calls me, they almost always, it always goes the same way. They start and their voice is very sad. And then there's tears, because we talk about things that touch your heart. And then we talk a little more, and there's a lot of, how did you know that? How did you know that? And then at the end, their voice is happy. They sound different. And I feel like $1,000,000 when that happens. I just got a email 2-3 weeks ago from a woman that said, you probably don't remember me, but 2 years ago, you told me this, and it all happened. And I was like, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
That's cool. Can you talk a little bit about quantum physics and maybe how we can, I guess, get into energy healing through that? But what, because I know you have an interest in it. So can you?
I do.
Yeah.
Well, we'll go with quantum mechanics, because there's so many subsets of quantum mechanics. Einstein's first thing was the entanglement theory. And so we are all culturally trained. That time is linear. You know, we're doing this from 6 to, just say 7, whatever. We're going from A to B. But really, they started doing time with cavemen, so they knew when the sun was coming up and when it was going down. Einstein says, no, it's wavy. Time is wavy. It's subatomic particles, and they're wavy, so that when you and I are talking here now, wavy somewhere else in the universe, you and I are talking as well. There's not a linear block on things, and they've done tons of studies. As far as healing goes, quantum tunneling is interesting, because things can just move right through big steel barriers or bodies or cells or whatever without coming apart. The particles just sort of see it, they keep moving, they get through it. So with that in mind, you can take your mind and heal your body. You can tunnel through and target places. I have had a kidney problem. So for 3 years after they were going to hook me up to dialysis, no dialysis, totally changed. I do mental imagery. I imagine them wrapped in white cashmere and red blood cells that sort of look like dancers in red unitards swimming through. It helps. they've done studies about energy healing,
Yeah.
getting rid of tumors.
Oh no, it's a real thing, and it does
Right.
help. I've read a couple books on it. Some fascinating experts in the field. Uh, that's funny that you mentioned that, you use visuals to do that, and they talk a lot about that in meditation, to kind of step outside of your body and to use a visual future representation of you as already healed. And what you're talking about's pretty fascinating.
Yeah. Well, I have left my body twice that were big time ones. That's astral projection. And once I was moving to LA, and the night before I was in their house in West Hollywood, and I was watching them, and I didn't know what it was about till I started to do a deep dive into what astral projection was. So I've done that a few times, but when I want to meditate, I can pretty much trance out. I can make myself just, and that's how I fall asleep, and that's how I feel better when I don't feel so good. But it requires practice. And the first thing you need to do is turn all the noise off in your head. It has to get quiet in there so you can pick up on any, even like, when you close your eyes at night, you see colors. To do that,
Yes.
your head has to be clear. But that's a great way to fall asleep, is just watch the patterns.
Yeah.
So I I don't think I need a hypnotist. I can sort of hypnotize myself. We all can, which would be another great seminar to do,
Yeah.
to teach people that.
And I think you're right on that with meditation. It definitely takes practice, and
Hmm.
it's definitely it's hard to clear your mind, right? The way we live
Very.
life, and
There's too
just
much going
too
on.
much
It's
going on.
hard.
Yeah, yeah. But I am starting to buy into the whole healing thing, with through energy. I know I'm doing a little bit of that myself, on myself.
Good.
Yeah, and it seems to be working. But I still got that. I guess I'm not 100% bought in, and maybe that's why it's not working as well as it could be. Still got that skeptic, like, I don't know, they could be trying to pull a fast one on me. But
No,
it
get
seemed,
rid of that.
yeah, it does seem like it's working, and I know there's, at least with this guy, there's thousands of people who can say that, they've healed through this kind of practice.
You have to
So
trust the process, and trust is huge. And there's 3 steps to access your intuition. The first one is to quiet your head. The second one is to trust what your intuitive voice says. And the third one is to act upon it. And they're all difficult. It takes years of practice to do that. But it's always correct. Your intuition, that gut feeling, that woman's intuition, everybody is born with it. It's built in. So if you don't know the answer to something, quiet up your head and listen to what you're telling yourself.
what
That's
do,
the answer.
what do you contribute that to? Some people say that it's a higher consciousness of yourself. Some people say that it's connecting to source. Some people say it's spirit guide. Some people just say it's intuition. What do you chalk
I
it up
think
as?
I think it's just the basic thought that we all have intuition. Intuition is like a life map. And if we learn to be quiet and trust it and then do what it says, that's it. It tells you exactly what you need to know. I've done even silly things like, my husband will call on his way home. Oh God, there's so much traffic. I'm supposed to turn right. I go, no, don't. Turn left. He does, and he missed like a big accident or a traffic jam or potholes. So if you want to practice that, start little. When the phone rings, don't look at the caller ID and see if you know who it is. Or when you get up in the morning and you want to wear red pants, but your head is going, no, we're the black ones. Wear the black ones. It's like a training. So I just think intuition is what we all have. We just don't know how to use it. And yes, source, yes. We are all one collective consciousness, if you want to call that source. So if we open our heads up and our intuition, we're all connecting together, and that's source. So we're just all made up of matter, of energy,
Energy, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Particles and everything. So when we transition, this physical body, it's gone, but we are not. Our spirit moves on.
Yeah.
So it's all intertwined, everything we're talking about.
That sort of covers, my next question. We were gonna
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. This is good. So what do you believe happens after that? Why do you believe we're here? I mean, do we go there? I mean, some people have the thought that like we live this one life and then you go to heaven or hell or whatever your thought is on that. But or do you believe that, maybe we go there and stay for a time and watch over our loved ones? Um, I know again, time's not linear, but you know, or I mean, do we reincarnate? What happens to us and why are we here? I guess is the question.
Okay. Well, as far as my education has taken me in parapsychology, there are 13 dimensions. So I told you I feel that this dimension, Earth, is a classroom. And we're supposed to learn from things we fear and from mistakes we make and things we screw up. If we make the same mistake over and over, then they're like, Holly doesn't get it. We're just going to throw more garbage in her path. But then when somebody stands up and gets it and puts it into their belief system, etc., they're like, wow, she finally got it. Let's send her some wisdom. And so that's how this classroom thing works, because when you get more wisdom, you rotate on a higher level of knowledge. When we transition over to heaven, or what I call it, Bloomingdale's, we're definitely seeing people we knew in this incarnation. Like I'll see my mom, my dad, and whoever. And they're up there hanging with people they know. I feel that if you don't get it right and you pass, you come back until you do. And you keep coming back, because that's nirvana. And nirvana isn't free. You have to be evolved to a certain point to be there. And there is no time that you're there, right? We were talking about time. It's just sort of infinite. It's the universe, the galaxy, and you're there. Also, the way you pass affects that, I think. If it's violent, you have a tendency to get stuck. Your spirit is like, so what happened? Do I go here? Do I go there? That's when people a lot of times tell me they see bad spirits. They're really not bad. They're just stuck. They don't know which way to go. But, and also suicide, I feel very much those people are given like the gold key to the afterlife, because they were suffering on this planet so badly that deciding to end their suffering took courage. Even though people say, hey, cowards way out, not always. definitely not always.
No,
It's
I had a
what?
close friend that died from suicide, and I definitely wouldn't say he was a coward. Uh,
No, he just couldn't take it anymore.
yeah,
Did
he
he
had
have PTSD?
yeah, he had a lot. Yes, he did. He had a lot of things. He had a rough, hard life. And a matter of fact, I had a reading one time and he came through and the psychic had said that it was like he was trying to live 5 lifetimes in one lifetime because he just had went through so many things in his life. But he was a great man.
Yes, he was a great man, and 5 lifetimes in one lifetime would have a real tendency to jam your head, as I say, and he had had enough. And I know you miss him, and it's sad, but he's up there and he's happy. Why do I see him with a guitar? Did he play an instrument?
No, I mean he liked music, but
I see him up there like bopping and enjoying music. I don't know why, but he's happy,
that's cool.
rest assured.
That's cool. I can dig it. So when it comes to spirits, then you say that sometimes they can get stuck. Is
Hmm.
that um these places that are so-called haunted, or these ghost investigators go to and talk to spirit, is that what they're coming across, or is it something different, or what do you think that is?
Well, um, there's a hotel in Los Angeles, downtown LA. It's called the Cecil Hotel. Actually, there's a documentary on Prime or Netflix or something, but lots of murders in the hotel. And it's filled with spirits because, like I said, the way you are taken out of this world has an effect on if you're stuck or where you go or for how long. So I there's a you know the movie The Shining.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so Stanley Kubrick stayed in this hotel in Estes Park, Colorado, called the Stanley. And he got the idea of the movie from that. They used it in the opening shot, but then they used another place. But people flocked to that hotel and want to stay in the room he was in and another room or and so those spirits, I think they're okay. They're just there. They didn't want to leave. A lot of spirits are not ready to go, so they hang out. I think mostly my mother visits me just because she feels like it.
Yeah, I
You don't
like
have to
that
have a
too.
serious reason.
Yeah, I like that. You kind of have a choice in what you're doing or what you're going to do or who you're going to drop in on and say hi to. Yeah,
Yes.
that's cool. That's cool.
Has your friend ever shown anything that maybe he was reaching out or something?
Well, yes. So
Okay, sorry. I should
no,
have,
it's okay. It's okay. So it's gonna sound weird, but so
not to me.
he was in the military, and I guess there's a thing with leaving certain denominations of change on people's graves or whatever, if you will. But
Hmm.
the funny thing is, like, me and my brother didn't know this at the time. So my brother had went up, he's from our old town where we used to live. So my brother had went up probably about 2 weeks before I did, and he went and visited his grave. Well, he decides he wants to leave for some odd reason 2 pennies on his grave. He didn't tell me this. So 2 weeks later, I go up into town and he's not there. My brother's not there anymore. And I say, I'm gonna go stop at see Cliff's grave. I want to see, I want to go check it out and just, talk to him for a minute or whatever, even though he's not there, but I'm just want to show that, my respects to him. And
He
as
knew
I,
you were there.
as I'm standing there, I get this weird idea that I'm going to put 2 pennies on his grave. And so I go back to my car and I pull out 2 pennies out of my little console. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll just leave 2 pennies on his grave. And I told my brother about it about a couple weeks after I'd done it. I'd said, hey, the weirdest thing, I was up into town and back home, and I left 2 pennies on his grave. He says, what? He says, get out of here. I did the same thing. And I'm like, no, you didn't. So I don't know. I'm just chalking it up as maybe he was trying to, get us both, or the universe, or
Yes,
whatever. It was
yes.
weird. It was weird.
It was communication with him to both of you. And that's how it manifested itself, through those 4 pennies.
Yeah.
So he watches over you. Did you
That's
know that?
cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's around. And if you're ever feeling like really lost, talk to him. Talk to him out loud, talk to him in your head. Uh, he may not answer you right away, but he will answer you. You'll all of a sudden in your head, maybe a week or two later, you'll go, oh, okay, that's him.
That's cool.
He
So
loved you.
yeah. Yeah, we loved him. Yeah, I mean, we considered him. I mean, he wasn't just he was he was family. He was family.
I
Yeah.
know.
So you write for 2 magazines, or you've written for 2 different magazines. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's new. The first podcast I did was called Doves and Dragons with Mel Rucksack. And we had a great time. And then we talked after a long time, and she said, I'm starting a magazine. Why don't you write a blog? And I said, oh, blogs, I hate it. And I did submit 5 blogs to Ariana Huffington's Thrive Global newsletter, and she picked up 4. So yeah, I was honored. But I didn't want to write blogs. I said, but I've always wanted to do an advice column. She said, so do it. So in April was the first issue. I called it The Naked Truth, and I answer it funny. It's kind of funny, but it lets you know. And you can buy it on Amazon. It's digital and print. You can buy it at Barnes and Noble. It's called TRI Entrepreneur, because her company is called Trident Press Communications, Triant Press. So last month was really good because I upped it. And my third is, it'll just keep getting better because I'm learning what I'm doing. And then there's a magazine called Luminous Wisdom Sophia. And I'm thinking, who's Sophia? But someone told me it means wisdom. So it is digital. It has 75K followers plus. It's global. They contacted me and said they were having it's all done by women. Everything. So they said, we're having a contest. Would you submit an article? And we're going to pick 25 people out of the submissions, and you will write an article from June 2021 to June 2022. And I was picked. So my article that comes out June 1st is about intuition. And all my articles are about intuition, but different areas and things about it each month. So I'm kind of excited to do it.
Yeah, that's exciting.
It's
That's exciting.
very specific the way they wanted it. I thought, this is great. Then I went, whoa, this is serious. So,
that's awesome. Well, congratulations on that.
thank you.
What are some significant changes you've seen through your work, your therapy of helping others, or maybe even synchronicities that like made you say, wow, I can't believe, I mean, I believe, but even for you, like over with all your experience that you have, like with some of your clients?
This is gonna sound terrible. I'm never surprised, because after all these years, whatever happens is meant to happen. synchronicity. Nothing happens 1 second before it is supposed to. And I don't believe in luck, and I don't believe in coincidence. And I believe if you choose fear when it tries to creep in, fear is a liar, and it creeps in your head. And then all of a sudden, your perception is from a base of fear, it colors your reality. Your perception needs to be healthy. Your insides need to match your outsides. So your reality looks good and is healthy, and you're able to work through this earthly plane. I'm not surprised. I don't mean that to sound like, oh, wow, check me out. Nothing surprises me. Regular earth stuff will surprise me. But spiritually, no, nothing anyone has ever said to me or that has happened surprises me. I just like, okay, that's what was supposed to be. Like I was supposed to be with you right now. So,
Yeah.
I don't question a lot. There's not an answer for everything. And trying to find answers for everything will make you go batty. So
I love that, because I think that's one of my problems. I'm always questioning, looking for an answer for everything. I think you're
let
right.
the
There's
answers
not,
come to you.
and there's not always an answer for everything.
No. And if you are wondering about something, release your grip on the steering wheel. You know what I mean? Don't, and the answer will just come. It may not be timely, like karma. Karma is not timely, but it just comes. Again, you have to trust the process because it works. It really works.
That's well said. Where can we find the work that you're doing if we want to schedule a reading or a
Counseling.
counseling, I should say, because you're not necessarily reading them, a counsel, or
Well, I do
even
both in the counseling.
yeah, you could, yeah, I get
It
that.
helps.
Yeah. Where can they find you, and maybe even where can we like get a hold of some of your articles that you're writing that are going to be coming out?
Okay. Well, my website is www.intuitivesolutionsHK.com. And you can call me at 717-618-8217. On my site, magazine articles are going to start being posted there because we're just happening now and June 1st. So I would say go to my website because all my podcasts are there too. They're all listed, so you can listen to them, and obviously yours would be there too. If you want, you can subscribe to Luminous Wisdom, Sophia. It's digital, so just Google it. And Try Entrepreneur, it's a mouthful. Also Google that. It's just TRI Entrepreneur. I can't even say it, but that's what she's decided to call it. It's beautiful. You can get it at Barnes and Noble. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it digitally. It's both. And it's really for authors and entrepreneurs and spirituality. The woman that produces the magazine has a doctorate in parapsychology and religious science. So her name is Mel. She's great. So you can find those things there, and my Facebook and my Instagram and my LinkedIn and all that stuff I do every day.
Well, that's awesome. And thanks for coming on the show and sharing. And I would love to have you back on sometime.
I'd love to do that. Thanks for having me, Dylan. It was fun.
Thank you.
You're welcome.